evening, everyone. It is Tuesday. Welcome to the TOWTalk livestream. Hopefully, we're all getting connected. We're just getting underway here. Had some technical difficulties. There we go. Look at that. It actually showed you first by yourself. So we had a little technical difficulties with the connection. Almost thought we weren't going to get here, but we're here. But we're going good. So, hey guys, welcome to the show. Again, today is Tuesday. We're always excited about Tuesdays. This is our day where we get together, or we talk to you about what's going on locally in our towns and also occasionally nationally. So Neil is, I don't know what the hell Neil's doing. Neil has disappeared.
My mic has completely gone cutting.
We are kind of a low budget operation here. We don't have any production crew to say, hey, check your fucking mic, test it. But apparently Neil is having issues with his mic right now.
Holy cow. That was cool, crazy.
That was fun. Cow. So,
oh my God, my mic just came detached and just started flying all over the place. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, that is funny. Oh, what is it? The boom was moving around?
Yeah, boom, yeah.
Yep, that could be fun. So anyway, so again, so we're here. We're talking about some local stuff. Neil wanted to talk to you about. I guess there was an announcement made on Facebook from Skoufis, from James Skoufis. He is our state senator that covers our region, and it had something to do with the airport, I think.
Yeah. So just to kind of give everybody a background, we have Stewart Airport in Orange County, and I think one of the things that we all have talked about is that we have this great airport in our county, and we consider it to be underutilized, right? I mean, it's like an international airport, and we hear about LaGuardia and Newark and these international, or JFK and Newark, which are international airports, and we hear like they're overloaded, right? And why not come up to Orange County? It's not that far, right? Like we've all had that kind of idea of, and if we could get more flights in and out of Stewart, it would be boom for the area, right? Like, I mean, that could boost tourism, that could boost, you name it, any amount of businesses coming to our area. And I think, like, the reason why, so this is a sort of reason that it comes up is that it can be an economic engine for
the county,
our area, for our county and for our area. But we can't get an airline in here, right? Like, I mean, every airline that we get in seems to leave within a year, right?
I mean, didn't we have Delta there for a while though?
We did. We had American there for a while. We had Delta there for a while, but they all leave. Right? I mean, like, so this is part of capitalism. And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because I really think it's important to discuss this, because we seem to be having this capitalism, socialism argument these days, right?
Yes.
And I just want to show people how stupid the fucking argument really is, right? Because we have this conversation about Stewart Airport, and we have had some airlines go in and then they leave, right? They're there a year or two, maybe a few years, and then they eventually leave. And we all are like, we don't understand, right? Like, you keep hearing, we don't understand. Airlines are private companies, right? And we when we think about businesses, right, we don't think about the fact that these are for-profit companies, okay? And they have to have a certain profit margin, okay? Right? This isn't your local mom and pop business, right?
Right,
Where,
right.
15, 20% profit margins, if you can make that, okay? And a lot of family businesses, you may be looking at 10 to 15%, okay? But, when you become a public business, you have to have 30% profit margins. Anything less than a 30% profit margin, it Wall Street doesn't even look at you these days. Everybody talks. We have these conversations. I'm just going to take a side note because I want people to understand what I mean by this. We talk about print news, okay, and we say, well, print news isn't profitable, so you don't see print news anymore, right? Like, I mean, you've heard that saying a million times, right? Print news isn't profitable, so nobody does print news anymore. Okay. Would it surprise you, Denise, if I told you that print news does make a profit?
Of course it does. I would think that it would make some profit. You know.
It made about 10 to 15% profit, which back in the 80s, right? So and prior was great. Like if you were making a 15-20% profit, you were doing really, really
Doing
well.
good.
Right. But when these private equity firms started going in and taking over the businesses and draining them of their cash, they demanded 30% profit margins. Okay. So, and then they turned around and said, well, these businesses aren't profitable. Okay. So now you have to define what profitability is. Okay. Because you're saying a business that makes 15% profit isn't profitable. You see what I'm saying there? Like, again, it's the definitions of terms as it relates to Wall Street.
So from profit to just straight on greed, we need to be as greedy as possible.
We're not talking about these companies losing money, right? They're not going to come to an area where they're going to lose money. So when these businesses came up to Orange County, okay, right, they needed to make a 30% profit. They were never going to make a 30% profit. Okay. They make about a 10 to 15% profit. Okay. And that's the problem. It's not profitable enough, right, for them to maintain the business. The model doesn't work. It drags down profitability in other areas.
And so that's why we're not getting airlines to stay.
Correct. So what happens is that airlines deem it to be not profitable enough. It doesn't mean that they're not earning a profit. It just means that they're not profitable. So now I'm going to share with you. Okay. This was
Oops.
Yeah.
Right.
What James Skoufis, our senator, our state senator, he shared with the public that he is just as frustrated as everybody else in this area about the lack of flights out of Stewart Airport. In other words, the airlines operating at the airport. And he's introducing a new model, okay, a new model for small airports, small regional airports or international regional airports like we have at Stewart, okay, to bring in businesses. And what he's calling it is a minimum revenue guarantee.
Okay.
Okay. So basically what it means is in order to meet those profitability metrics that these airlines have to meet to be operational in a given airport, he is guaranteeing them a minimum revenue, right? This is the proposal, right? Guaranteeing a minimum revenue for the airline to operate at Stewart Airport.
Oh, nice. Now, how does he guarantee that?
Well, that's part of his announcement, right? That he's working with the Port Authority on basically what he considers to be a fund, okay? Right? Like an insurance fund so
Okay.
that airlines that come and operate there will be able to draw from this fund when they don't meet earnings, right? And when they're over earnings, when they earn more than what their target is, they have to refund, right? Like
Reapply.
have to re-put the money back into the fund. Okay, so
Okay.
that fund will always be there. So basically, the state will basically pony up the insurance. I guess the
So
initial startup
they're
of the
basically the
fund.
backbone. So the state is basically the backbone. Okay.
So the state will back the business that comes into our comes into Stewart. So again, I'm presenting this as I would certainly like to hear from the public about their thoughts on this, because right, this gets back into what we've been talking about, right? We have this capitalism, we have socialism, right? You have all these isms, right? Now we're presented with an actual problem, okay? And they have tried to solve this problem many different ways, okay? Anybody who's lived up in Orange County will tell you that they've reduced fees, they've tried to provide incentives, they've done so many different things to try to get businesses to operate at a Stewart Airport, okay, for the long term. But they all end up leaving for the same exact reason. They're not meeting their revenue metrics, right? They're not
Right.
meeting their
Right.
profitability. Okay. So this is now another iteration. This is now the government saying they have to step in. Private industry no longer can make that work. Okay. There really isn't a way for private industry to make it work, right? I mean, it's a government international, it used to be a government airbase. It's now an international airport. It's state run. It's run by the Port Authority, and the airlines really don't have the ability to fill up the planes. Is really what it comes down to. There's not really the demand. We like to think that there's demand, but there's really not the demand.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think that there's always been that challenge since they went commercial, which I think happened in the 90s. Because I remember taking a flight out of there in the mid 90s. I think the problem has always been getting direct flights to go from some of the more popular cities. So, if you're going to California, it's easier to fly out of LaGuardia or JFK to get to, say, LA or San Francisco or Miami or something. And they didn't really have, they really couldn't get direct flights. And so you'd have to sort of bounce around from, one airport to the next before you get to your destination. And so being able to offer some direct flights is also an attraction. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And poor Neil is struggling here. You're lagging a bit.
You're not going to you're not going to get um you're not going to get the airlines to do direct flights out of Stewart. It's just not going to happen. Unless you're going to a hub. You
Right,
see, because people from the Hudson Valley, they're all going to different places,
right.
So the idea being is you're going to have enough people hitting LaGuardia or hitting JFK or hitting Newark for them to do direct flights. But at a regional airport like Stewart, people are going in all different areas. So you send them to a hub where they can connect to a flight that will go direct to wherever it is their destination is. And you know, I again, I want to hear from the public. I would like to understand, right? Because we're having this conversation about capitalism and socialism in the public, right? We're
Yes.
hearing about how, you know, we hate socialism, capitalism, right? But here's an instance of this is what socialism is, right? This is what democratic socialism is. It's stepping in and doing something that the private sector cannot accomplish on its own.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And like we can debate capitalism and how to make it work better, right? There are ways to make it work better. I mean, we've had those ways. We can talk about deregulation. We can talk about you know, Glass-Steagall, right? Like, and bringing back Glass-Steagall, or bringing back antitrust laws, you know, and breaking
That'd be
up some of
great.
the airlines, right? I mean, we could talk about all those things, but since none of those things are on the table at the moment, you know, what we have is we have an MRG, you know, a minimum revenue guarantee for a private business.
In
And
which the state is going to be the backstop if, and this is if needed. This is if needed. We don't meet that minimum revenue. If we meet the minimum revenue, then the state doesn't step in. Correct?
yeah, but I mean,
Okay.
let's remember. I mean, you know, have any of these businesses, airlines, met? I mean, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years, right? Like, but in the long run, they don't, and we know that they don't. I mean, this we now have empiric data from history, years and years, right? Because if they were earning the profit, if they were getting the 30% or even 25% profit in going out of Stewart, they would be there.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right?
true.
Like, I mean, we have to start thinking, like, again, I challenge people to start thinking instead of looking at the buzzwords of today, you know, of capitalism and socialism and communism and like whatever isms
Yeah,
you want to throw,
whatever it is,
right?
right?
Right? At the end of the day, we want jobs and we want an economy that works. And I think I don't really know too many people around Orange County that wouldn't look at Stewart Airport as being an economic engine for our county, you know, which would then spur job growth, you know, more better housing. I mean, you know, transportation. I mean, there are so many things that could lead to if it actually became some type of hub, if more airlines used it. So, you know, I'm curious, you know, what the public thinks about this, you know, because there's been so much, you know, especially, you know, we've been hearing about in Orange County, you know, like, I mean, there's been this anti-socialism buzz going around, and I'm curious as to what people think about that.
Well, I think that
Because
it's just a matter of not fully understanding what it is and how you've actually been living with it your whole life. I mean, you wouldn't have a public education if it wasn't for that. You wouldn't have a fire department coming to you to, you know, put the fire out at your house without having to pay a fee to them. You know, all that. It's your tax dollars just working for you to give you certain things that you can't do yourself, you know. And in this case, this is trying to help build up. It's an airline, it's an airport, and I just took a look, and there's only like two airlines right now. It's Allegiant and Breeze Airways, and there was a time when there was a Delta in there, American was in there,
Mhm.
and again, as he said, um, you know, we haven't been able to make them stay. And I think one thing that could actually help build that up is having a county-wide transportation system, because a lot of people who are traveling, it would be easier to get on a bus and take it to the airport and then catch your plane, just like they do down in the city and down in Queens and Long Island. This way, you don't have to like drive your car and park it there for days. You could get on a bus and get back and forth that way, and maybe not lay out the money for an Uber. So there's options that could help build that up, and other ways to attract, offering a shuttle service for people who want to get to, let's say, shuttle to DC, who are commuters that have executive jobs and that are traveling. You know, they don't have to be a main airline. They could be a mid-level airline that offers like a Learjet service or something. Uh, just other ways to attract, um, business to the county. And I know they've probably tried these, and I guess this is a way to hopefully bring a major airline back into the area by giving them at least a minimum guarantee of making some money. And then it has to be promoted for people to use it. That's the big one.
I think it's listen. There's a lot of risk associated with it. I think when you're looking at something like this for our area and our region, and trying to make this airport work for our region, in terms of economic development and being an engine for our area, I really believe that we should be looking at all different options. I commend Senator Skoufis for looking into this. This is definitely very innovative. And it's a good, listen, you gotta sometimes you gotta throw stuff and you gotta see what works. But it's just very interesting that that we're having this conversation, right? When we're talking about right. So this is capitalism and socialism, right? Working together.
Yeah.
Right.
Folks, do you have any questions or comments about this? I see we got some people watching, and I'd be curious to hear what people have to say. Because I think a lot of people we've been so programmed to be uncomfortable with the term socialism, and that there's a lot of programming associated with that, and people don't realize that we've been benefiting from democratic socialism pretty much our whole lives. It's just your tax dollars being utilized. If you're a taxpayer in your community, paying property taxes, well, your water, your sewer, getting your roads done, that's all your taxes coming together and paying to get that stuff done. Otherwise you'd be doing it yourselves. We don't have to be taxed, but then you can pay a blacktop company to come in and do your section of the road.
But right, that you hit the nail on the head, right? Road, okay, right. What is one of the biggest economic engines for every area? A road system, right? Like you have to have a way to get people to their employment, right? Like if you want to build a company, the people have to get there somehow, right? Like usually it's via roads, like, I mean, that how is that occurring? Like the roads just don't miraculously appear. There's a whole highway department in your municipality that does that work for you on a daily basis to make sure that you can get to work safely. That's their job. And so in this instance, you have a socialist idea of helping the airline industry, to create an economic capitalist engine for your area, for your region. I mean, like that's what everybody's been talking about. That's what we've all been talking about, is the idea of there are parts of America that have just been forgotten about.
Yes.
That have just been abandoned. Okay, why can't the government come in and act as an economic engine for that area to help development?
It's kind of what we expect from government.
But the way government has been doing it has been so poor, right? Like they do it through tax breaks, tax incentives, IDAs, right? Like that's not what we're talking about. Like something like this is a boost to the system to make the economic engine work.
To your point there, right? With IDA and giving tax breaks to attract businesses to come in there, that also that's usually covers over a number of years, they getting the tax breaks. But if they create, they're bringing trucks in, and so you need more road work, you need more stuff done. Well, then that sort of loads more need for more taxes on the residents, right? So again, it's the public subsidizing big corporations, big business to come into your communities. You know what I'm saying? So there's, okay. So first of all, we got a comment here from Marty, who is saying they need better marketing at a different word, right? Socialism. So he's sort of talking about the word socialism. Can't we come up with another word that's better? I don't know whatever word to say, but that this is what it is. Again, we've been programmed by corporations to, socialism is voodoo. But meanwhile, you're benefiting from it, just as we explained before. So, but
I think, right. I just think, just kind of in addition to what you said, I think it's the idea. It's not about the words,
right. It's about the
right?
results. It's about the
It's
benefits.
about the results. Okay. What are the results that you're getting for your community, right? We always hear, this is another thing, right? We always hear about the cost. Okay. The cost of living, right? The cost of living in New York is so much higher than it is in, say, Alabama, right? We hear that all the time. Okay. But you also got to remember, you're making significantly more money in New York than you would be if you worked in Alabama, So it's not just about, the idea of what things cost. It's about what you make in comparison to what things cost.
Yes.
Okay. And we always have to keep that in mind. These things are not things that you don't know, but you're being taught to be fooled. And again, that's why I thought that it was intriguing to see,
Yes.
Senator Skoufis make that post. And I was like, we should really talk about this, because I think it's important conversation to have, especially given where we live in the town of Waukegan in Orange County, where, Stewart Airport resides. And I thought that would be a good conversation for this group.
Yes. And we got a couple of more comments here. First of all, Jim. First of all, thanks for the comment. It competes with 3 other very larger airports in the same area, and it has no link to make it an alternative airport. And yeah, no rail link, no direct rail link. So, and it's funny because I can remember years ago talking about expanding the rail system to move a track further into our Orange County, going up to Newburgh, because we have tracks. I used to take any of us that were commuting from here in Middletown. That track goes up into, I guess is it Salisbury Mills, or it's really New Windsor is where it goes. Yeah. So it doesn't go all the way. They could extend that into Newburgh, and they could run it close, and then people could actually have a train option. To go up,
or
maybe further down.
A tram to, like have something that you can get on to get to a train station,
a direct link that would make the airport more attractive for people. And then we have from Knitter. Knitter is saying, again, thanks for the comment. Our major highway system, like Route 17, was built under President Eisenhower, which made all our lives easier. Yes. Okay. So she's pointing to how our tax dollars have benefited us. And yeah, Route 17 became the major road, because it used to be like a little 2-lane highway. Like all the other 17, 17A, 17M, 17K, they were all just sort of one network, little road system. And eventually somebody said, hey, we got to put all this together and make one big highway. And here it is. And in certain parts of it, it's now become, or is soon to become someday, an Interstate 86. So thank you for that comment.
But I think it's important to understand, and I think it's an important conversation to have, because if you really do want this region to grow and you really see the potential in this area, then how important Stewart is.
Yes.
And we have to find a way to make it work. And right now, airlines under intense pressure. We have issues with, air traffic controllers, and we're now getting kids who played Fortnite, apparently, air traffic controllers. So,
what could go wrong?
Right. If you're flying, just I pray for you. I don't know what to say. It's crazy, but I mean, this is the world we live in. I mean, airlines are under intense pressure. Not only that, right? Remember, jet fuel, right? The fuel that they use to make jet fuel is the same fuel that they use to make diesel. So you have competing, right? They're competing for who's going to get that oil, right? Like who's going to get that mid grade oil, and thanks Mr. Global for that one. He taught me that
Yes.
one, but I
Yes,
didn't
that
realize that
mid-grade.
until yeah, mid grade oil, and right now we see diesel inventories are down. We're talking about that's one of our biggest inflationary measures that we have in our
Yes.
country. That's how we transport everything. That's how goods get from one end of the country to another. Is diesel. So when you have rise in diesel prices, that's going to be a rise in your consumer goods and the rise in manufacturing and the rise in transportation costs. So, you have a lot of inflationary pressure coming on right now. I mean,
Yes.
at a time when you need economic development and growth, and you're seeing a contraction in the marketplace, government has to do something. Otherwise, you're just looking at a total collapse.
Yes. Yeah. So let me see. Come back over here and up. And hello. Oh, tuning in from Scotchtown. Hello, Kay. Let me see. Hello. Hello, Kay. Oh, are you new here? Is this your first time here? That's a new name.
Always good to
So,
have a fellow Scotchtinian.
Scotch is that a thing? We're
Just made it
Scotchtinians.
up. Trademark meal.
So, in case you're just joining us, we were talking about the announcement made by James Skoufis about a new plan to try and generate business for our airport, Stewart Airport. And thank you. Well, thank you for commenting. It means so much that you join us. It kind of helps us to sort of hear from you and respond to what you're thinking and how you're feeling. So yes, where there is a plan being put in place to help generate business for Stewart Airport to ensure that business airlines that come in at least get a minimum. And the state is going to be involved in that backstop. So that's sort of generating this kind of capitalism and socialism working together type of conversation. So yeah, it's interesting, and so it's sort of leading into other areas here and other things that we could use as a benefit to bring more business in. So we've had some comments about a possible rail system, which I don't know why they didn't expand that. There was once talk about putting the rail running down 17 at one time. Yeah, money, I guess. It should cost money.
It doesn't. The part of the issue is that it doesn't go to New York City. It takes a long time. It's very local. It takes a long time. You get a lot of passengers that hit like via Rockland and Jersey and stuff like that, but it doesn't get you to New York City. So if you're living up here and you're trying to get to New York City, you're almost better off taking a bus, because the
Yeah,
bus
and
will
I did
take you
that for
right into
years.
the city, and it's less time. And that's unfortunate, right? Like, I mean, you think about it, how unfortunate that is. That's unfortunate because a rail system would be great, if it
So,
worked properly and it got you there fast enough.
yes, and it is Metro North, but it's still operated right. It's a partnership between New York and New Jersey. I wrote that for years, and I did eventually go to the bus, and actually for a number of years I ran a van pool, and I drove in because that turned out to be the fastest way. But that's okay. So if we couldn't do a rail system, we could have an on the ground shuttle system for that offers affordable ways to get back and forth to the airport throughout the county.
Here's the thing, okay? I'm like really like sick and tired of the argument. Like, yes, it's expensive to do these things, but should we do them? Yes.
Well, we bring more people, bring more revenue, bring more business to the region.
I'm so sick and tired of this argument about like price tags. We spend these guys spend so much money on garbage, on contractors, on on special interest groups and all these other things, and they're not you could see they're just not investing in America anymore. The bridges, the tunnels, the roads, everything's kind of falling apart.
Yeah,
because
and that's nationwide.
Right, because government has made the decision. They've sold you on this idea that government is incompetent, okay, and that they can't do anything, okay, and therefore, when you ask for something and it doesn't get done, oh well, it's like, well, that's what you expected. You expected nothing to happen. But what are we seeing in New York City right now? There isn't a money issue per se, okay? There was a lack of will in a lot of instances, because look at Mamdani. I mean, he's announcing every day that he's doing something to improve people's lives.
To prove that that government can work for the public, which is that's the whole term, the meaning of public servant.
Right. Well, that's what makes me laugh, is that they call him a communist because he fills in a couple of potholes.
That's his job.
Right. That's your fucking job. Like, I'm sorry, but that's your job. That's your literal job, right? As the public servant, right? As the leader of your community, is to fill in potholes, right? Like, that's in the definition, right? Provide public safety, do the and part of that public safety is filling in the goddamn potholes. Making sure that playgrounds are usable. Okay, repainting playgrounds. I mean, just some of the like stupid stuff
that you don't think happens, but that's what's where your tax dollars are going. So I have a couple more comments here from Knitter saying, oh God, I can't. Okay, this isn't working. There it goes. The original plan for the Tappan Zee Bridge replacement was to have it include a rail service. Oh, that's from Jim. I'm sorry. And yes, I do. And I remember being incredibly disappointed, because at the time I had started working in the city and I was like, oh, this would be great. Get me to the city really fast, and never freaking happened. Instead, we got to rename it. And our rail system is one going to the, I think she didn't get to finish that thought, but I think I know where she was going with that. And Kay is saying, communism is when you repair playgrounds, and the more playgrounds you repair, the more communist you are. Yeah, apparently, I mean, it's just, they want you to fear the word. We're going through another Red Scare again. And people are learning that government can work for you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Here's what's so interesting and why they're so upset. It's not because Mamdani is socialist, right? Which has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that he wants an actual level playing field. Okay. He believes in small businesses. Okay. He believes in capitalism. He believes in getting the workforce actually working. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Okay. There are some permits in New York City that take 8 months. Why does it take 8 months? Because the bigger businesses that these smaller businesses compete with, it's a way to keep them out. It's a way to prevent them from opening. Okay. Because 8 months becomes an impediment for anybody looking to open up a business. Okay. Time is money, especially when you are a small business. He has proposed to actually cut out some of the permitting. Okay. And cut the timeline. So instead of it taking 8 months, he's saying, maybe it should only take, if we can get it down to 1 or 2 months, great. Okay, that's capitalism. What these people who talk about capitalism, what they're not really telling you is that they've put in place so many barriers to entry. Okay, that smaller businesses get strangled right from the start. They can't even get out of the gate. They either
Yes.
get bought up, they either get swallowed by a larger business. Okay,
Or they get put out of
then
business
they
altogether.
get put out of business, or they get gobbled up by private equity. Right? I mean, those are really what's happening to those small businesses now. Okay,
Let,
like I
let
don't know
me
what people are
let,
talking about.
let me give you an example of just how much consolidation has happened with corporation and just how bad this is for small business, for anybody wanting to start a small business, right? I just went to my vet here in the town of Wallkill. I had to go there earlier today, and he's got a little sign on the lawn for his business, and then he's put those letters you can stick on there, and it says "still not corporate owned." Obviously, speaking out against the corporate consolidation. So, how many of you here, since we're talking about Newburgh, have heard of Flannery Animal Hospital? I'm sure a lot of you. It's a well-known name, um, and Flannery is been bought up by a veterinary chain, if you would, of hospitals known as VCA. So it's now VCA Flannery Hospital, right? So VCA is also bought up by a corporation that owns Banfield, which I know any of you who's been in PetSmart knows about Banfield. Well, they're under another corporation that's owned by another corporation. If you work your way up this pyramid to the top, you'll never guess who's at the top of that pyramid. I'll give you a minute here to figure it out. No, you're going to Google it anyway, so don't Google it. The top of the pyramid is the Mars Corporation. Mars Candy, the people who gave you M&Ms. It's also a big family, I guess, or a small family that owns Mars, has consolidated business after business on top of business, another layer, tinier layer, until the top company is Mars. That's what's happened on all different types of businesses. I saw another pictorial that showed that one time we had Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They're now, I think, owned by a single corporation now. Like if you go
Well,
up the chain.
three companies own 90, I think like 98% of all publicly traded companies. It's like BlackRock, Vanguard,
It's State Street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
State Street.
Vanguard's.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
That's what's happened.
But that's what I'm talking about is the fact that you know you've been sold on an idea that just isn't true. Okay, so you go. I think I've even talked about this before. You want to go out and buy a pair of sunglasses. Okay, right? You think that you're having a choice because you get to choose between Oakley and Ray-Ban, and you're seeing all these businesses and you're like, oh, I have my choice. What if I told you that choice is an illusion? Okay,
They're all the same company.
Because Luxottica makes 98% of all the glasses in the market. Okay,
That's just sick.
I mean, right? It's you don't have you have the illusion of choice, and
This is
what
right. Unrestrained capitalism,
right?
And the funny part is, well, you think they're restrained?
No. See. This is what fascism is, though. This is like, again, getting into another ism, right? This isn't capitalism because you don't have free markets. Okay, so when these politicians go out and they talk about, oh, we need to deregulate and because regulation is killing us, right? They're telling you what they did. Okay,
yeah.
Their goal is not to get rid of regulation. Okay, their goal is to have enough regulation to prevent competition in the marketplace, allow them to consolidate wealth, okay, while ensuring they can increase their profits on the other side.
Right. And we're seeing that happen in real time. And it's so blunt and in our faces now that people can really see it. And they're feeling the harm from it. Because, the funny part, the flip side of this, or I should say the side effect of this, is when these little individual businesses within these huge consolidations fail and they need to, get a bailout. Guess where they come? They come for your taxes. And now, it's funny when you talk about communism, the federal government now owns pieces of corporations and like at least 30 businesses that we know of, big corporations. And I think that this is sort of a sneaky way to bypass having Congress to get involved if they need a bailout, like we did with the automobile industry back in 2008 and 2009. And we bailed out AIG. Now we own a piece of those businesses. We won't see the profits. They'll get the profits. But if they fail, our tax dollars will cover that failure without even having to go through Congress.
It's actually worse than that. And here's how I'm going to tell you it's even worse than what she said. Yes, your tax dollars will bail them out, right? But what you don't realize, okay, right, is that you are already an owner of these companies, right? You are the one that's taking all the risk. They don't have any risk. You start asking, do these billionaires, okay, and CEOs and executives have any risk? They get their golden parachutes. They get their money. Their money is guaranteed to them, okay? In fact, if there is a book by Michael Lewis that he wrote many years ago, right? And I can't remember the name now off the top of my head all of a sudden, right? That just slipped my mind. But he wrote about how the stock market is you take all the risk. So you start looking at your pension funds, where your pension money is, not your like regular investments, your pension money. Okay? Because your pension money is invested in all these companies. They're saying that the market right now is 200% overvalued. It's overvalued because of your pension money that is being invested in these businesses, into the market. Okay? Remember, in the 1990s, there were over 7,000 publicly traded companies to choose from. Now there's more money because we all have 401ks. We all have those 401ks to help us in retirement and have been putting away money every time. We don't sit there and look at diversification, okay? We invest in funds that invest in whatever index, that they follow.
I think the book, I found your book, The Big Short.
No, was the one before. It was before
Moneyball. Moneyball.
Nope, before that. Nope. Before that.
There's The Blind Side. No, that's a football. Liar's Poker. Flash.
It was the Flash Boys.
Flash Boys. Oh, that's later. That's 2014. Flash Boys by Michael Lewis. Okay, I figured I'd point that out. Let's go over some people's comments. We have another comment from Knitter. Only 5 companies make all the large appliances like refrigerators, stoves, and dishwashers. Yeah. And we used to have multiple.
Oh, Liar's Poker. Yes.
Liar's Poker. Okay.
Poker. Yes, that was it. Liar's Poker
was the other one. Okay. Yeah. He has a number of books. So, yeah, but that's what happens. So you think you have a choice, but you actually don't. And we've lost innovation. We've lost innovation and the ability. Take a look at just here. You're here connected to the internet, watching us right now. Like the backbone to all the internet, like worldwide, is like one company. It's Oracle. Like they are the backbone to all of these different networks and whether you have cable internet or you have whatever internet, the backbone that's handling it all comes from Oracle, another billionaire. So we've got another comment from Jim. The good news is we would only have to bail out only one business and let the rest fail. Yeah, I think you're being sarcastic. I hope, right? That's real.
Yeah, and I think that's part of like what we all have to. This is the tough conversation that we all have to have, right? This is the tough conversation that FDR had. Okay, when he did put up the antitrust laws,
Yes.
the Sherman Antitrust Act, when he did Glass-Steagall. I mean, those were there for a reason, and big business and corporations and Wall Street have over the years just chipped away at all those regulations. They don't exist anymore. The stuff you learned about in school doesn't exist anymore. Okay? Yeah. That's right. So there's a book that I've been promoting lately. Okay? It's called Being Wrong. Okay? The stuff you learned as children, the guardrails that you learned were in place. Okay, about the New Deal, right? Like I'm Gen X. I learned about that in school. Okay, they don't exist anymore. Okay, Sherman antitrust laws don't exist anymore. Okay, the Glass-Steagall doesn't exist anymore. Okay, the laws that were in place to make sure that these companies wouldn't fail, or that we didn't have a 200% overvalued stock market. Okay, I mean that's what happened in 1929. That's why the market failed, right? Like, I mean, remember that we were all
Big
in class.
time.
We were learning about how these companies were fake. Like, there was no actual company that people were just like, hey, I can make money by going public. And, they were taking fake companies public. Now, I'm not saying that these companies are fake, but if they're overvalued by 200%,
yeah, that's it.
And you're buying into them every time you get paid, and money comes out of your paycheck and goes to your pension fund is buying that 200% overvalued stock.
And eventually it's going to come crashing down.
You lose. And do you think the government is going to come bail you out?
No. Not this government. Not this government.
No, you take the bath. So the billionaires, the CEOs, these company heads who have guaranteed income coming in will get bailed out by the government. Your money will be lost. Okay?
Think about that. Yeah. There's never been more of a time to be really involved in what is going on and not closing your eyes. Really need to have your eyes wide open on this, because eventually that is going to happen. And when the shit comes down, we're all going to feel it. And worse yet, if they're devaluing the dollar and all of this war that's going on, as companies are moving away from the dollar for buying the petrodollar, right? That moves us just a little bit further away from the dollar being the world reserve currency. And so that, might not seem like a big thing, but once that happens, our debt becomes a problem for us. So, I think, did you freeze? Oh, you're just sort of lagging a little bit.
I'm not lagging. I'm just agreeing with you. There's just
no. I mean,
more to say about that. I mean, it's you realize that the people. So you could look at it two ways, right? Either we have the dumbest people imaginable, okay, as at running our government, okay, or they are intentionally sabotaging every American.
Okay? That is what's happening.
And to be honest, it is really hard
to tell the difference.
It's really hard to think that anybody could really be this stupid. Okay, I mean, like, to be honest with you, it really is hard to think that anybody could be this stupid. I mean, like it's sort of like I'm watching, remember like you watch Princess Bride, and he goes, the dumbest thing you could do is get into a land war in Asia. Like, I mean,
And
and
guess what?
and the dumbest thing you could do is start a trade war with Canada. Like they're the
Can you believe this?
right? Like so you have to start asking yourself, is this a part? Is this even a credible party anymore? Okay.
Well, think
Right?
about
Even at the
this.
local level, like what's the credibility factor, right? If this is what's being promoted.
Yeah. I saw something interesting. If you think about this, we have right now, thanks to the Trump administration and all the people that he has appointed, there are 57 billionaires in positions of power in our government right now, all appointed. If you think they have any interest in what you need, you're nuts. They're there for a reason. So let's see. Let's go to comments here.
I think when you start looking at their Denise is going to post those and read them in a second. But when you start looking at their platform, okay, don't look at what they say. Look at the platform, okay? Data centers, they want data centers everywhere, right? The world is going to run on data centers, right? They're telling you what they're doing. They want data centers and they want warehouses to store humans. Okay?
Flock cameras to watch you.
And flock cameras to watch you. That is the platform. And it's really the platform of the Republican Party at this point in time. And because they're coming out and saying that every day.
Yeah. The Don't Tread on Me party is now like, right. Yeah, tread away, baby, tread away. So let's talk about these comments first. We got from Knitter. Other countries are dumping our treasury bonds, and now the government is thinking of using Bitcoin to buy our bonds. Yeah, that's the ploy, to throw it into either Bitcoin or some other crypto. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see, we got from Marty. So that's just like what happened with SpaceX when they forced their way into NASDAQ, and every fund manager had to buy equal shares into a stock that was over $200 a share. It went below 100. Yeah. And people lost. People lost.
We talked about that. We actually talked about that on the show, about exactly that, how they were going to make sure that. So when you talk about Musk becoming a trillionaire, he didn't become a trillionaire through building anything. He became a trillionaire because he basically colluded with government agencies, right, with this administration, right, to rob our pension funds of our money.
Yep.
Okay? Like that's what happened. They knew it was overvalued. They put it into the index. They made sure that the pension funds were obligated to buy it.
Yep.
Then your pension fund took a loss. You paid for his becoming a trillionaire.
Isn't that something? Yeah, that was the people's retirement money. Enron all over again. Yep. But don't worry, Trump has plenty of crypto to sell you. It's interesting because that one time he said it was a scam.
Listen, Marty, you ain't kidding yourself about the Enron thing. You ain't kidding yourself, right? Now, keep in mind, I just want to point this out because he brought it up. He brought up Enron, okay? What was with Enron? What was the main issue with Enron was that they had a lot of off-balance sheet risk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? That risk was in derivative instruments, but they had a lot of off-balance sheet risk. Okay? So when things went south, Enron ended up taking the bath and going bankrupt. Okay? All these data centers have been built, right, with debt. debt that is considered off balance sheet. Okay, because they set up like these companies to take all the debt, and there's no revenue being generated. So at some point in time, if you're not generating any revenue and you have all this debt, you have to pay that back. Okay, so that off balance sheet risk is exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about the markets being 200% overvalued. It's not accounting for the off balance sheet risk of those publicly traded companies like Nvidia and Meta and those companies that have that off balance sheet risk related to that debt that they've put into those data center companies that are sitting off their balance sheet. So yes, you are not, when you say Enron, you hit the nail right on the head. But the scale of which it has never been seen before in the United States.
Yeah,
The scale you've never seen.
Yeah. So we've got, and let's see, just had a follow up there. The worst part about it was SpaceX never met the criteria to join NASDAQ. Yeah. Yeah.
No, they changed the criteria.
They changed it.
Yeah.
So that he could get it.
Right.
Oh, clever.
I mean, this is what government is now doing, right? Government, listen, I had always heard the Republican Party say, government shouldn't be in the business of picking winners and losers. But here I'm going to tell you that was a complete lie. It's that they wanted to pick the winners and losers. They didn't like when other people picked the winners and losers because they wanted to pick themselves. That's what you got here.
Here, I got and just so you see how bad it's getting, here we are. That is the national debt as of right this minute. It actually jumped like $100 billion in the last 2 days. So yeah, we are officially $4 trillion. No, I mean $4 trillion since Trump came back into office. And so yeah, look at that. Yeah, it was 36.1 when he came in. So we're actually at nearly 40.2 here. We're really so he raised already in a year and a half $4 trillion. And a lot of that has to do with what we're talking about right here. So that is horrifying because it is unsustainable. And when you factor in what is going on with this war and with the way they're playing with the financial markets and overvaluing the markets and killing the dollar at the same time, even J.D. Vance a couple of weeks ago, last week or the week before, said, "Oh yeah, we should move away from the dollar." Like he was on some talk show or something. Like what? What? Who's going to pay that debt? Guess what? Us. We'll see. So
well, they're already talking about it. They're already talking about, right? So I mean, here's again the thing. What is the Republican platform? They are now talking about raising the retirement age. Okay, they're now talking about raising the retirement age. They're talking about reducing the benefits for seniors that retire. Okay, so this has been the plan all along. They are telling you what they're going to do. People will vote for them anyway because there are pundits out there going, "Oh, ha ha ha, they were just joking," right? You ever see the movie Moving?
I think I have.
With Richard Pryor. Has anybody ever seen the movie Moving with Richard Pryor?
Oh no, I probably have.
That would not be politically correct, right? But there's a scene in that movie where they're looking at the house, okay? And the guy selling him the house, right, is like, "Oh yeah, it comes with the dishwasher. Ha ha ha, I'm taking that though." And then you like joke, right? And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I built this staircase myself." Ha 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 ha.
And it falls apart.
With us. No, he goes like, "We're gonna." He's like, right. So what ends up happening is the guy moves across country, gets into the house, and everything's gone because he, and he calls up, he goes, "But you said that was going to be here." He goes, "No, I got it on tape."
Oh, wow.
because he got it on tape that he was taking it with him. And
As a joke, he told it as a joke, and it turned out to be the real thing.
But that's what I feel like that politicians are doing now.
That's exactly what's happening.
Right. They're telling you what they're going to do, and then they laugh because you're the idiot. You're the fool.
I know, we got another comment here. Ken Lay told all of his employees not to sell their stock while he was dumping hundreds of millions of dollars. Anybody want to bet Ken Lay didn't have a heart attack and die? Yeah, I remember that because, you know, at the time, Enron had their pension fund. Enron had this habit of they gave shares of the company as their pension. And then they would encourage employees to buy more of the stock. And then in the late summer, just a couple of months before they fell into the pink sheets, they made this announcement that we are switching to a different manager of our pension fund. And at the time, this was not something that could change immediately. So it locked all the accounts and prevented them from selling any stock. And they had to sit there as they transferred to a new manager of their pension fund for 2-3 months as the stock plummeted into the pink sheets. And so people lost their retirements, lost everything.
So I'm glad you brought up stock options. Okay, I'm so glad that you brought up stock options because one of the things in the DSA platform that I've heard attacked numerous times, right, is that DSA believes that the workers should have some type of ownership and decision making in businesses that they work in, right? That they're providing a benefit to. Okay. That is no different than stock options because stock options are ownership of the business. Okay. The only difference, okay, right, and what DSA is advocating for is what Germany has, where they designate a certain number of board seats to employees.
So that they have a voice.
Right, because if now think about it this way. If employees sat on the board of Enron and they had a board seat or 2 or 3 board seats, right? Do you think that would have happened the way it happened?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
When workers have a say in their employment and their business, the running of their business, okay, you find that businesses tend to be a lot more ethical too.
Yeah.
Because now your workers have a seat at the table. They have a voice. They now are going to hear how business decisions are made. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not communism to want that. That's capitalism. That's making sure that businesses are acting right in an ethical manner.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? If you have employee involvement in that, they're also going to be more invested in seeing the company succeed. So you work together to make your business succeed. You know, that the whole point of unions, that's why we had unions. And of course, you know, since the time of Reagan, they've been breaking apart unions because they don't like that idea of having, you know, the lowly worker come in and want to have a voice at the table and want better working conditions and better pay and better benefits and better long-term future after they separate from the company, as in a retirement or some sort of separation package. You know, go ahead.
Let me just say this, right? Our GDP grows. We're not in negative GDP, right? We're in positive GDP. We have growth. Okay. The workers' share of GDP, okay, actually went down, which means that any benefit from growth that's happening in the United States is going to the top 1%.
Wow.
Okay. So whatever you think is happening right now, you are just giving money to businesses. right? And they're just going to find new ways of getting it from you, either through subscriptions or
Yep.
through, warranties or whatever. Like they're going to mandate pretty much everything, right? That idea of us not being an ownership society, that we are not an ownership society anymore, right? You don't even own your phone that you're sitting there like watching us on. Okay, you likely like traded in, and if you look at your bill, you can see you're probably still paying it off in some form, fashion, or another, right?
Yes.
Like, they may have given you some money on a trade in, but you're still paying that off. That's still on your bill.
And you
Okay,
still, even if you
so
have paid it off, you're still paying monthly to use it.
right. There's nothing that's free, and they're finding new ways of extracting the money that you make. Everything's a fee now. Everybody complained about their cable bill. Okay, like everybody complained about Spectrum. Nobody wanted to pay for Spectrum, right? And the streaming services made it so easy, and we were like, you know what, I'm just going to do a streaming service. And then everybody started going to streaming services. Now you're not paying your cable bill, but you're paying
Well,
for
you
all these streaming services, which are significantly more if you add them up than what you were paying for your cable bill.
we have Kristen and TOWSW showed up late. Hey guys. Yeah, we've been right at the end. Well, yeah, we were talking about we talked about the airlines and some support from the state through Skoufis's announcement that we were going to help to bring airlines into the community. And then we sort of moved on to this socialism versus capitalism, and how they can work together and stuff. So we've had quite a conversation today. I went on. So if you did miss this, just once the stream ends, it'll be there. You can rewatch everything. And I may even put I always like to put a version up that's a clean version that because Neil had some lagging. He froze on me a few times, so I'll put a clean version up where he's not for. Did I freeze? I'm sorry, guys. We try to do this.
Pull it out as like you do.
Well, you know why? Because you freeze it. I'm like, oh my god, did I lose him? Completely. I go into panic. But this has actually been a really good conversation. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope we answered your questions. But before we sign off here, does anybody have any questions or comments they want to share before we sign off? Because I remember I forgot a conversation that came in just as we were signing off because of the lag, because of the delay. So give it a minute. But so yeah, this is interesting.
It was a good conversation today. I hope everybody I hope everybody sort of learned something, and they're going to walk away like remembering that it's not about the ism, all right? It's about, can we all collectively benefit, right, from decisions that our government is making that help all of us on a daily basis to improve our lives. Okay.
Yes.
Government isn't supposed to be a restraint to us living our lives. It's supposed to enhance us living our lives. And we need to get back to that.
Yes.
So, and I just wanted to kind of point that out to people, and I hope everybody is got something out of this. And if once we sign off, if you have any questions or you have any comments about the Skoufis proposal, we'd love to hear about them. We can always address them on our tape podcast over the weekend. So please make sure you message us, email us, make a comment. Make sure that comment is seven
words
or more. Words or more. And remember to click that bell so you know when we go live or post new content.
Yes, definitely. And also follow the Daily Gripe. You might see I'm actually streaming to the Daily Gripe also, so you might see it below, and there is an option for subscribe. You can subscribe right there just by clicking, and make sure that bell is set to all, because I don't know what the hell YouTube is doing. They're just messing things up. People are not seeing their subscriptions come up. So all usually kind of helps with that. All right, guys. So we're going to sign off here for the night. First of all, Jim wants to know: are you going to go with keep going with it with your mic drop?
No, he wants to know if you're going to keep the mic drop in the version that you post.
Oh, we should do that. We should keep it. Yes, and we're going to keep it because it's funny as hell. Just to show just what a low budget operation we are.
Oh yeah, really low budget. Yeah.
All right, guys. This has been great, and we always enjoy. We really appreciate your support. It's so great that you come out here and join us and share this hour and 15 minutes each week on Tuesday nights. And thanks again for everything that you do. And we will see you guys soon. Take care, guys. We love you.
Peace out.